This is Subnautica, a game filled with both wonder and terror. I tried to survive 100 days in hardcore mode, and this is what happened. Day 1. After I crash landed into an alien ocean planet, I climbed on top of my life pod to see the wreckage, and then took my first dive into the water. I collected some fish and different materials from the area around my life pod. I was making good progress, and despite some resistance, I even had a flashlight before the day was over. Day 2. I traveled over to a ridge next to the kelp forest and built myself a starter shack. It's not much, but it'll work for now. Later in the day, I stumbled upon a life pod on accident, and also scanned all the fragments for sea glide. So, on day 3, I fabricated that sea glide, which will greatly improve my speed underwater. I went off to explore and found some wrecks, as well as the entrance to the jelly shroom caves. I'll be back for it eventually. Later in the day, the aurora blew up and put on quite a fireworks show. Day 4. Still on the early game grind. I did find all the parts to make a sea moth, so I got to work on that. As if I wasn't already grabbing everything I saw anyways. I had everything collected, but when I got home, the base had run out of power, so I had to wait until the morning to craft it. Day 5, and the morning came, so I set up a mobile vehicle bay, and there it was, my very own sea moth. I was excited to go take this thing out on its maiden voyage, but I noticed I was running low on water, so I had to go take care of that first. We all know what happened last time. Now that was taken care of, I set off. I found this biome with big pointy rocks and lots of shell outcrops, as well as a ton of different blueprints for me to scan. Day 6. I went over to this floating tropical island. There were these bases on each of the mountain peaks, and also another base tucked away in the valley between them. According to the PDAs, these bases were built by some people called the Degassis. They also crashed in the same place, and these bases were the traces of their survival. I found the blueprint for a multi-purpose room as well as this mysterious purple tablet. Mission Chinese Potato. There are crops on the island, and I want to bring them home, but I have to do it before they spoil. So, Operation Chinese Potato is a go. The plan is simple. Grab the potato and drive home. Mission success. To end the day off, I built a bioreactor, so now my ocean base is completely powered by fish. Day 7. I was getting low on materials and I needed to grind for some, so I decided to go exploring instead. I'm mainly looking for the last moonpool fragment I need. I wandered over to the mushroom tree forest, had a little visit with Tim, and eventually made it over to the blood kelp zone, where I said hello to my crab squid buddies. Towards the end of the day, I stumbled into another island, and this one had a giant alien gun on it. On the island, I went through some of the caves collecting a lot of lithium. Day 8. I used the purple tablet I found on the ground to open up the force field. I guess the aliens forgot that when you leave a spare key by your door, you're supposed to hide it, not just lay it on the ground. I stepped through the door and explored the complex. There were alien artifacts, more force fields, a portal, and a big off button. I tried to press it, but a robot arm stuck a needle in me and told me I was sick, so I couldn't disable the weapon. I didn't know I was sick, so thanks for letting me know. After all that, I went back into the mountain's caves and found another alien portal. I activated it with an ion cube I had found in the building, and it led me to the tropical island. There's so many secrets, I never even knew this portal was here. Day 9, I spent hunting for more blueprints. I went over to the ship today because there are a lot of parts and metal over there. I kept hearing reaper roars off in the distance, and I know they hang out in the dunes in the mountains, but I don't actually know where those biomes are. So I'm scared I'm going to accidentally wander into one of them and not realize. I was mainly looking for the last moonpool fragment, and for some reason it's impossible to find. I've been looking so long I might unlock the Cyclops before the moonpool. I found the bulb zone and saw a wreck that looked particularly enticing. It was surrounded by electric eels and I could hear a reaper off in the distance, but I braved it anyway. I might need to go change my pants though. I found a modification station and a reinforced dive suit. Pretty soon, I'll be ready to go deeper and unlock more of the game. Day 10. I explored one more wreck on the way home and found a million different modification station fragments. I made it home and upgraded my tools and made a moonpool, finally. I got a message that the sunbeam was coming to try and save us from the planet. I also got an upgraded depth module at the end of the day. Day 11 was spent wandering around looking for the blood kelp zone. I thought it was near the gun island, but apparently I was wrong. I finally used the map mod I had installed to find it, but by that time it was too late in the day and the sunbeam was coming soon. So I went over to the island to grab some materials. Day 12. The sunbeam got blasted with a sunbeam, then I went back to my base to drop off the materials I had gathered, which included a lot of lithium. Afterwards, I went out to collect some more sandstone outcrops and metal salvage. Then, I made some sea moth upgrades, before finally, I went off to the blood kelp zone. Psych! I went another metal room. Okay, for real this time, I made it over to the blood trench, which has got to be one of the coolest biomes in this game. It just looks so awesomely scary. I got crab squidded, but I was fine. This whole area is just so well put together. I was genuinely terrified, and the music just made it so much better. Eventually, I got what I needed, and I got out of there. Day 13 was spent exploring the jelly shroom caves, and after trying to scan one of the crab snakes, I quickly learned that I needed to respect them. That was almost bad. I made my way deeper into the cave and found the old Degasi base. There was a water filtration machine as well as part of a nuclear reactor. I kept exploring the cave, grabbed some magnetite, which is the real reason I came down here, and then I left for home. Day 14, I got another upgrade for the sea moth, and then spent the rest of the day preparing everything I would need to make a base in the blood kelp zone. Day 15, and I'm still just getting stuff ready. Although, I did take a trip over to the kelp forest today in order to collect some stalker teeth. Day 16, I finally had everything ready, so I went off to the blood kelp zone. I got a bare bones base set up, but it turns out even after all that preparation, I was still missing a couple of important ingredients, so I had to head back to base for some more supplies. Day 17, I went back over to keep on building. I got a moon pool and a large room set up, and with the glass roof, it looks amazing. After I was done, I went hunting for some rubies and ended up going all the way down to the Lost River. I found some nickel and some sulfur and caught a glimpse of John, but still no rubies. Day 18, I went back up and bullied a crab squid with the sea moth zapper upgrade. I ended up finding all the rubies I needed at the very top of the biome, so there's no need to go all the way down to the Lost River. I used them to make the Mark III depth module for the sea moth, so now I can go all the way down to 900 meters. Day 19 was eventful. I went to go explore the final Degasi habitat in the deep Grand Reef, an awesome looking biome. Once I got there though, I got absolutely ganged up on by some crab squids and warpers, so I tried to hide in the base. I thought I was safe, so I explored around, finding everything I needed to find, but when I went back outside, I watched my sea moth die right in front of me. So, let's pause here for a second and just analyze the situation. I'm deep in an underwater cave, surrounded by hostile creatures with no source of protection or oxygen, now that my sea moth is gone. I'm 512 meters deep, plus a horizontal distance, and I have 153 seconds of oxygen left. Uh-oh. In a mad dash for the surface, I forget everything and I just take off as fast as I can. I swam and swam and swam and swam, and I was fine. I had plenty of oxygen left. That went way better than it should have. After that nightmare, I headed home and, because of recent events, entered through the hatch instead of through the moon pool. Now I have to grind for a new sea moth, so I figured while I'm at it, I might as well grind for the new base as well. Before the day was over, I had made a new sea moth and I was ready to go. Day 20, I remade the depth module and the storage kit, and then went out and gathered a lot of titanium. Day 21, and I'm still grinding for materials. Day 22, and I was still grinding. But while I was looking for more parts, I found a mushroom forest, and decided to try and find all the Cyclops blueprints. After searching all day, I was still a few short, although I did run into a very dead-looking area, which I now know is the dunes, aka the Reaper's backyard. Day 23. For the millionth time, I was organizing. During the day, I went on a quick run for some titanium and quartz, but I got scared away when I heard a Reaper. I ended up finding the last Cyclops part I needed, so I can finally have my own submarine. Day 24, I got everything ready, and then I headed off to the floating islands. I saw online that it was a recommended spot to have a base, so I figured I'd build there. I spent the rest of the day getting everything set up at my new base, and into day 25, I was still building. I almost died from forgetting about oxygen, and after that scare, I decided to go back to the kelp base. Day 26, and I actually decided that I don't like the floating islands as a place to build. It has too much depth pressure, it's super dark, there's bone sharks everywhere, and it's all dead looking and boring. So I decided to make the Cyclops to act as a mobile base for now. I need to start progressing, and I've been wasting a bunch of time on base building shenanigans. Day 27, I went back over and deconstructed the floating island base. except for a tiny part so I can remember it. Afterwards, I went back home and made a Cyclops. It never gets any less awesome. Day 28, I loaded up the Cyclops, and I know that I just said I needed to start progressing, but I found the actual final base spot I want to build at, so I spent the day building that up. Day 29, and I'm still doing construction work. Day 30, I used the Cyclops and its large storage capacity to go and collect a ton of titanium from near the Aurora. I found an upside down life pod and grabbed some coral samples before I headed home and continued construction. Day 31 wasn't exactly a waste, but nothing really happened. Day 32 and 33, I went to go explore the Aurora. I drove to the front of the ship, and despite hearing a Reaper, I managed to sneak into the hull. I went through the upper entrance and made my way through the ship. I repaired the drive core, which will stop the radiation leaking into the ocean. Then I found the prawn suit bay, which unlocked the prawn suit, as well as the captain's quarters, which unlocked the escape rocket blueprint. So now I can escape the planet whenever I'm ready. I listened to a very important tape, which contained a recording of two girls yapping about how they're breaking up.
That dumb guy in his dumb robot suit.
That's not a feeling.
Really vital information for my survival. And that was about it for the ship. I went out through the bottom and snuck past the Reaper again before I headed home. I was hoping to find a nuclear reactor in the Aurora, but I didn't. So now my base is on 0 power. I need to fix this. Day 34, I did some research and then headed off to where there was supposed to be a lot of nuclear reactor fragments. The Blood Kelp Trench. Unlike its open northern counterpart, the Blood Kelp Trench is an extremely tight corridor. Yet despite that, a shipwreck managed to wedge itself all the way down into the crevice, getting precariously stuck on a ledge. Inside the shipwreck, as promised, there were many nuclear reactor fragments, as well as a lot of prawn suit arms. Very useful. While I'm here, I of course made my way down into the Lost River, and ended up finding the Alien Disease Research Facility. It housed some weird artifacts, including a warper assembly line, but the PDA told me that it was supposed to be a cage to contain something, but based off its destroyed state, it had clearly failed to contain it. I don't know what is capable of busting out of there, but I sure don't want to meet it. Unless he's friendly, I guess, then I'd be fine with meeting him. I went all the way down the Lost River and made it to the Ghost Tree. I stared down the entrance into the lava zone, but I can't go there. Yet. With my pockets full, I headed back home. Day 35, I snuck past John and came out of the Lost River. I passed the Blood Kelp base, which was useless, and I also passed the Floating Island base, also useless. A lot of time was wasted on those. When I went back home, I used my new resources to make some cool toys, including a grav trap and a nuclear reactor. Afterwards, I started working on the prawn suit, but as always, I was short some lithium. Off to the island I go. Day 36, I gathered some lithium from the island. I could have got more, but I was getting nervous about my food level, so I headed home early. I was going to make the prawn suit, but I left the mobile vehicle bay back at the kelp base, so I had to go side quest over there. Then finally, I got the prawn suit. Although it isn't very useful without any upgrades, so let's get on that. Day 37 was spent getting all the upgrades done. Once I was finished, I appropriately named him Shrek. Day 38, I did some chores around the base. I consolidated all my resources out of the Cyclops and into the base. Then, I got everything ready for a trip down into the Lost River, this time with the prawn suit drill. Day 39, I headed off for adventure with the SS Rexstang and Shrek. Day 41. Back at base, I used the new materials I had just got to make some upgrades. I went on a quick scrap run with the prawn suit, and then got back and made a grappling arm and a jump kit upgrade. Now, I can go back to the Lost River, and down into hell. Day 42 through 45. The journey into the Sea Dragon's lair. I tried to enter the Lost River from the Blood Kelp Trench, but I got all turned around and accidentally found another entrance I didn't even know about. It led me to this giant skeleton with an alien force field that wanted an orange tablet. I've never seen an orange tablet before, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I parked the Cyclops there and continued deeper into the Lost River. I finally opened up that other force field in the research facility and learned about an even deeper facility. And there's only one way to go deeper. Into hell. This place is absolutely terrifying. After being chased by a sea dragon and running for my life, I found the secret tunnel that led into some caves and then opened up into a giant lava chamber with an alien facility in the middle. I activated another portal, but I chose to explore the rest of the building first. I didn't find much, except another area guarded by a purple tablet, which I didn't have. Heading through the portal, I was spat out inside of the Gun Island facility, so I made a quick trip home for a purple tablet. Using it, I unlocked ion batteries, and I learned that the whole facility was a giant alien power plant, which used the heat of the volcanic area to make energy. However, there is an even deeper facility, farther down into these lava caves. I went back home and used the kyanite to make the final depth upgrades for my prawn suit and Cyclops. But the Cyclops is across the whole map, so he's just gonna have to chill there for now. Day 46 through 50, the final stretch. With these new depth modules, we can now go to the very deepest depths of the map. So, the only place left to go is down. After racing a sea dragon to the door, I had made it through the belly of the beast and into the primary containment facility. Inside, there was a regenerating ion cube deposit, a load of different portals, a peeper pipe system thing, and a room full of different creature eggs. There were also a bunch of useless artifacts, but of course I scanned them all. I messed with the sea dragon and also snuck out to grab some food. Then, I met the Sea Emperor. She's an ancient, massive animal, and she wants me to hatch her kids, so that she can die in peace. She needs hatching enzymes to do so, however, so one final fetch quest before I can beat the game. I activated the facility portals, which all took me to different parts of the map, none of which I knew had portals. The portal she uncovered in the aquarium led me to the bottom of the gun platform, acting as a convenient way to get from the very bottom of the map to the surface. I wandered around looking for different enzyme ingredients until I finally decided to look it up, and I found out that all those portals I had activated each led to one of the ingredients. I feel like that should be more clear. Eventually, I got everything together and made the hatching enzymes. The little babies were happily swimming, and the mother thanked me before she took a nap. Upon touching some of the baby's puke, I found that it could cure my disease, so that means I can finally turn off the giant gun that has caused me so many problems. Lights out, bucko. Now, I've basically beaten the game. I could build a rocket and blast off right now if I wanted to. So even if I die from now on, I'm still going to call it a complete run. With that being said, even though the story is finished, there are still a lot of fun goals I have lined up. In no particular order, I want to kill all the leviathans, get all the upgrades I can, explore the whole map, find out how I'm supposed to get that orange tablet for their Lost River place. Also want to add more to the base, like decoration, storage, a garden. I want to go rescue the sub, and finally, I want to build a rocket and beat the game. That's a lot on the to-do list, so let's get to work. Days 51 through 61. I spent a bunch of time looking through all the PDA stuff for some reason. Then I decided the first thing I wanted to go do is rescue the SS Rexstang from the Lost River. I took the prawn suit down to the Blood Kelp Trench, and in no time I found the sub. It wasn't really lost, I just had to go and get it. While I was there, I took the time to mine some materials, and oh hi there. You're gonna die for that one. I can't make the stasis rifle right now, but trust me, I'll be back. Also, I found out you can access the vehicle storage from inside the Cyclops, which is very handy. I left the Lost River through the Grand Reef, and found the Degasi base where my sea moth was slain. I wanted to see if I missed anything, but these crab squids are making me nervous. I think they only turn off the Cyclops, I don't think they can kill it. So, betting on that, I snuck into the base, and sure enough, I'd missed something. On the upper floor, there was the orange tablet I'd been searching for. Big eyeball. Get scanned, nerd. I wanted to turn around and go explore the orange tablet cache, but I was getting low on food and water, so I can't. Never mind. Well, I guess I'm gonna go turn around and explore the cache. I said hi to John again and reminded him that his time is near. Then, I opened the force field and saw these long alien bones, and when I scanned them, I got some data about reproductive studies. These are alien boners, aren't they? Besides some free ion cubes, this place was pretty useless. I don't know why it gets its own special tablet. I went out through the blood trench to avoid the crab squid nightmare that is the Grand Reef. I mined some materials, explored a wreck, and then headed home. That's 2 things knocked off the to-do list. I deposited my new items, and then I started to tear down the base for some renovations. Then renovations turned into a complete remodel. I moved everything around except for the crafting and storage rooms, because that would be a nightmare. Now it's base construction time. I made a moon pool on each side for both vehicles, and then I placed a lot of foundations and used some grow beds to make a garden. They had a lot of decoration, but I think they might be the reason that this base is lagging me so hard. I added a large room and a scanner room, but I need some stalker teeth. So I tried to use a scanner room, but it wasn't working for some reason. I decorated the large room and added an alien containment for my 2 cuttlefish. I went on a resource run for some titanium, but I ended up hanging out in a kelp forest for a while, trying to grab some stalker teeth. After building some more, I called it good. It's good enough to last me the rest of the 100 days. Next, I crafted all the ion batteries I could, and turned them into ion power cells for the Cyclops. Then I started to craft all the different vehicle upgrades I didn't have yet. However, I quickly ran out of lithium and copper, and I still need a lot more of it. So, it's resource gathering time. Days 62 through 72. I took the SS Rexstang and Shrek out on an adventure. I wanted to explore more of the map and look for some lithium and copper nodes. I headed south towards the unexplored area and found pretty much nothing. There's this gas guy, so I stole his balls for some shenanigans I have planned later. I kept on exploring and came across this flat area with these 3-legged sea treaders. There was also a ton of shale outcrops here, so there was some of my lithium. Wait a minute. They're making the shale. That's cool. After I harvested some of the shale, I found the crater's edge. I stared off into the void. I went back to my sub and then went over to the Grand Reef, and after getting lost for a bit, I made my way down into the Lost River, and found who I came to meet. John. Firstly, however, I need some magnetite for a stasis rifle. I wandered around the Lost River, getting lots of resources, but I didn't find any magnetite till I had made it all the way down to the ghost tree. Once I did find it though, I headed back for the sub. John was hunting me, but I hid inside the giant skull, and when the opportunity came, I made a dash over to the sub. Once inside, I crafted the stasis rifle and went to face my nemesis, John the Ghost Leviathan. I froze him, cast him out, and after a not at all intense battle because the stasis rifle is basically cheating, John was slain. And in quite an epic location too, inside the jaws of an ancient Leviathan. After all that, I headed back home to use lithium and copper for the recipes I was missing. I tested my new torpedoes and they kinda suck. I'd much rather just have a grapple and a drill. Then I started to work on the Neptune escape rocket. And after not long at all, I had the escape rocket completed. I gave it some cool colors and named it the Rex Rocket. It was pretty easy, honestly. All the grinding paid off and I ended up having everything I needed already in the base. All I needed to do now was flick a couple switches and press launch, and I can go home. But to stall for time, I'm gonna go get some ion cubes and slay a dragon. I went through the portal by the now deactivated gun and said hello to the dying Sea Emperor. If you think about it, it's kinda her fault we're stuck here. She didn't like the aliens, so she refused to cure the world-ending disease, so the aliens locked down the whole planet, which is the reason our ship got blown up and the reason we're stuck here. Pretty selfish if you ask me. Anyways, I mined some ion cubes, then I went to go kill the sea dragon. The plan is pretty much the same as the Ghost Leviathan. I'm gonna freeze him, drop a bunch of gas balls, and once I run out, I'm gonna use the hot knife. What can go wrong? I didn't see him at first, so I went to go lure him over. And a sense of fear was quickly reinstilled in me, as I was chased down by him across the lava lakes. I got him near the castle, froze him, gassed him out. Once I ran out, I started to use my hot knife on him, and... What? No, wait, it's BS. He was frozen, he can't attack me. And also, I know for a fact those fireballs don't one-shot you. I guess that's what I get for poking the bear. Even though I died, I still had a lot of fun playing this game, and I made it far enough to call it complete. I could have just sat in my base for 28 days and completed the challenge, but I tried to do something more interesting, and I paid the price for it. That was a lot of fun. I can't wait for Below Zero. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.